Hi y'all, so this is just a breakdown of what we discussed or what we talked about in the last video. So Takeoff's last extensive interview was on Drink Champs, and there was a lot of emphasis from the host there, Nori, and everyone else there wanting to give Takeoff his flowers. Takeoff was killed November 1st at Billiards and Bowling. There's a lot of videos talking about or wanting to detail like the scene of where Takeoff was killed, and conveniently there were like no cameras pointed towards the incident, but there were cameras like pointed in all the other venues in this area, this vicinity. As far as I know, the Messy video was uploaded November 1st, but it's showing that it was uploaded October 31st, but I promise on everything I know, November 1st, just a couple hours after learning that Takeoff passed, the Messy video had just uploaded on Quavo's or the Migos channel. And the video, as we stated before, details very closely what happened, or reflecting exactly what occurred the day Takeoff died. It's just really eerie, and you can just tell there's a whole lot of premeditation in this video. And although there were many people around when Takeoff was shot, no one reported for weeks. No one reported at all, I believe, even though they were close to the people that were shooting. So I think there was something there with people wanting to, I guess, having to conceal or hide what was going on. Weeks later, a man has been connected to murdering Takeoff, which we're going to cover in a bit. But prior to that, there were no answers. And I just want to emphasize again, Quavo initiated the altercation. Okay, the video shows that Quavo started this whole thing and Takeoff had nothing to do with it. He was minding his business, standing off to the side, and Quavo had an issue with someone, started throwing hands, and from there was gunfire that killed Takeoff. And it just really annoys the hell out of me because Quavo is the uncle of Takeoff. He's older than him. He's the example. He's also their Takeoff's band member, or they work together. So it's like, why not hold yourself to a higher regard? You know what I'm saying? With all of the acclaim, all of the success that they've made, why really start fights with people in the public like this? Even if you think you have protection, it's just like, why did it get this far? How and why did you allow it to be this ratchet and nonsensical? So to this day, as I'm going to state in conclusion of this story, Quavo initiated the altercation. Quavo is an integral part as to why Takeoff died. So as of making this video, Takeoff had an elaborate funeral service fit for the stars. Quavo's streams on YouTube have of course gone up. Offset is reported to have a single with Drake or Future coming out soon, and things are just moving right along. I had first noted before making this video that Cameron Joshua, aka rapper Lil Cam, was arrested for being linked to this murder. But he was only arrested because he had an illegal gun, not because he shot Takeoff. This was as of November 30th. 3 weeks later, they got someone, and it wasn't even the person that shot Takeoff. But as of today, December 3rd, Houston police revealed that Patrick Xavier Clark has been charged with killing Takeoff. But it's still hard to believe considering how the incident was initiated and why it took so long. Even with all of the people there, all of the video evidence, this couldn't have been solved weeks ago. But now we found the alleged killer. Yay, I guess. To me, I'm forever suspicious of Quavo, and not to get into conspiracy theories, because this is not really a conspiracy theory. It's very just insolent evidence. But it's very obvious, considering all of the information out there, that this was a planned killing in which Quavo had a very integral part in. He may not have pulled the trigger, but he very much complied in facilitating an atmosphere of quarrel that ultimately killed his unassuming nephew. Any way it goes, these are our examples. These are the people I grew up listening to. Myself, my friends, people in my school community looked up to these folks. and some still do, they create or created the culture quite literally as they professed themselves, and at this time have shown that manufactured squabbles are befitting and taking innocent lives for reasons we still do not know, but can only assume have to do with fame and fortune or who knows what else. There's been no accountability from Quavo, this luminary of the group and uncle, to take responsibility for his very real role in the recklessness that killed his nephew. That's our example. That's our culture. The cameras in the facility so conveniently did not face the incident, so we have no proper account of who actually shot Takeoff. But yet people were there. Quavo had mob ties, people he entrusted in the area to keep him and presumably his people safe. But that obviously wasn't the intent for Takeoff that night. Please read the subtext. It is so plain. It's not even subtext. It's not hidden. The writing is all over the wall. This was a sacrifice. This notion of it being a sacrifice, a ritual, some sort of planned killing, is literally reiterated in the music video Messy, if nothing else. The devil comes in lies and confusion, okay? The quarrel was not a real quarrel. It was corralled so there could be some type of lead up. They couldn't have just taken Takeoff out cold like that. There had to be a stir. How else do you describe this if it isn't just plain evil? What is terrible about this is that, as I've mentioned, these are our examples. Even if we don't want to admit it, celebrities idealize the lives we wish to create for ourselves, or at least that's what the media reinforces. And as lovers of artists and their work and their come up, this is a slap in the face as to what we aspire to. There is no reward without major risk. There is no salvation without sacrifice, but this is something else. This is very blatant evil and destruction, and we must not forget that the culture we hold so near and dear to us, the culture that we rally around and run around all day for, operates on audaciously killing people with no remorse, no legitimate answers, and no real consequence. This is a problem we must not forget. Hopefully, this story has also gained your attention over the past month of Shanquella and the Cabo Six. When it comes to finding answers for Black women who have been victimized, they're usually not highlighted like others in the media, but I'm glad that there's been some scope placed on this incident.
We have a very disturbing story about the death of a young American woman in Mexico and the search for answers from the people she was traveling with, people she says or thought were her friends. Shanquella Robinson died last month at a resort near Cabo San Lucas. Now, Mexican prosecutors are trying to get an unnamed American woman extradited to Mexico to face the charges. They say that Robinson was killed in a, quote, direct attack, not an accident. Lilia Luciano is following this investigation. Lilia, good morning. This story is so disturbing on so many levels.
It really is. Good morning to you all. Well, Shanquella Robinson traveled with 6 friends to Mexico. Some of those friends initially told Robinson's parents that she died of alcohol poisoning, but her death certificate later listed her cause of death as a spinal cord and neck injury. Robinson's father told us if it weren't for the disturbing videos that emerged, including one where she's being brutally attacked, he fears justice would have never been served.
She was just a very, outgoing person. I mean, she loved people, just loved the friends that she was around.
Shanquella Robinson's father says his daughter's friends are to blame for the 25-year-old's death at a resort in Mexico in late October. Days after her death, a video too disturbing to show went viral, showing a woman beating Robinson, who was naked and not fighting back, while other friends watched and filmed nearby.
My daughter, she suffered, man. The last breath she took, she suffered. And they sit there and watch.
A local police report shows friends called for medical help just after 2 p.m., saying Robinson had, quote, drunk a lot of alcohol. When the doctor arrived and suggested she be taken to a hospital, she told police Robinson's friends refused and insisted on keeping her at the resort. Mr. Robinson says her friends called Shanquella's mother that night to say she was being treated for alcohol poisoning. An autopsy report released days later states Robinson died of a severe spinal cord injury and neck trauma at around 3 p.m. After her death, all 6 friends returned to the United States. Mexican authorities are now seeking the extradition of a single female suspect. John Jay College law professor Dmitry Shaknovich says the process now lies in the hands of the U.S. justice system.
They will engage in their own due process to see if this person that is alleged to have committed a crime should be extradited.
What do you want to see happen?
I want the truth, man. I just want them to get back over there and tell the Mexican authorities why they did what they did. I can't even be a grandfather. I can't even walk down the aisle, man. The only thing I can do is cherish the moments that we had, the 25 years while she was here on this earth.
His only child. Robinson's death is being investigated by Mexican authorities as a femicide or the killing of a woman because of her gender. The FBI has said that they have opened an investigation into the death as well. And at this hour, it remains unclear whether those who witnessed the fight may also be in legal jeopardy.
I hope they are. I saw the video for the first time. My niece showed it
Disturbing.
to me over vacation. It is so upsetting. And you can hear them yelling at her saying, fight back, fight back. If the arrest warrant is for the woman who we see in the video, she needs to be sent over to Mexico sooner rather than later. It's so outrageous. And I think Dad is right. If it wasn't for that video, they might have gotten away with the story that they initially told.
Yeah.
That was the concern. He says, you know, if these videos hadn't come out, he fears that, you know, the story that these friends had, that this happened because of alcohol poisoning, which he says they insisted, and some of those friends came to the mother's house, to her family.
And told that same story.
Told that same story until the videos came out, and then everybody shut down their social media, disappeared, and have been silent ever since.
Disgusting. I hope the U.S. acts on this.
Yeah, I hope justice
You
is
should not
served.
get away with this. Exactly.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So just to break down what happened, like I said, just for clarity's sake, I know we probably already know what's going on, but Shanquella was in Cabo less than 24 hours before everything took place, before her friends told her mother that she was suffering from alcohol poisoning, and who knows what was really going on there. But within the 24 hours they arrived at the resort, there was already chaos and issues. One of the 6 people noted that went on vacation with Shanquella, only one of them is actually noted to be her long-term friend, and their name is Khalil Cook. So it is maybe there's speculation that the other people there may not have been that close to Shanquella, so that's interesting to point out. The videos that have been circulating of Shanquella and another woman being in an altercation, that other woman is believed to be Dejanay Jackson. There have been conflicting times from friends and Mexican authorities about the incident, what happened when and where. So there's just a lot of, I guess just inconsistencies with the times and the events. So yeah. And I guess that's on behalf of the Mexican authorities and everything going on there. I know, like, going to a different country, there's a lot of corruption. I'm from Nigeria, so I know all about what that can be, but it's really crazy that there's no consistency there, and it's frustrating. So friends called Shanquella's mother to inform her that Shanquella was suffering from alcohol poisoning, I guess to sort of conceal the fact that there was some sort of altercation that actually was maybe keeping Shanquella unconscious or in the state that she was in where she couldn't get to the phone. And I guess they wanted to report that something was wrong, but not detailing that they did something wrong by pointing it to alcohol poisoning. So Shanquella died in Mexico, and then the 6 friends left back to America much earlier than intended. It's being said that they had another day left at that resort that they were at, and they left just way sooner than they needed to. Yeah. So Khalil Cook, Dejanay Jackson and Winter Donovan visited Shanquella's mother for days after Shanquella's mother found out that Shanquella had died. And it's crazy because Khalil Cook, I guess, was just there, supporting and trying to, I guess, show some concern about the situation. So he was there for some days with Shanquella's mother in their house, brought Shanquella's suitcase to the house and everything. And it wasn't until Shanquella's mother found out through Shanquella's father, through the death certificate or the autopsy, that Shanquella had died from violent injuries and it wasn't alcohol poisoning. And then from there, Khalil Cook stopped visiting Shanquella's mother, and apparently she hasn't heard from Khalil Cook since. So that's obvious suspicion, that's obvious guilt, and I can't believe, there's just no way we can overlook that. So much guilt there. It's just crazy how Khalil Cook, who displays himself as the friend of Shanquella, who displays himself as a family friend of Shanquella's mother and their family, is blatantly lying to Shanquella's mother, was there the whole time when Shanquella was getting beaten, didn't do anything, and then had the audacity to go to Shanquella's mother's house and pretend like he had nothing to do with it, that he didn't know that she was actually in a brawl that killed her. It's just disgusting that these are the type of people that can be called friends and can have any sort of welcoming in anyone's trusting environment. Just completely vile and disrespectful of Khalil Cook to just show his face, knowing what he knew and doing nothing about it then. And then when guilt and accountability came to play, he runs and scurries off to nowhere land. So I pray that justice is dealt and that God is lasering this man with a focused eye, because he cannot run far, and neither can the other people responsible and that are staying silent about it, the Capo Six. But yeah, that is just the general breakdown. Since this case has been brought up, a lot of different videos and details have been released. There's this video of Shanquella entering one of the rooms in the resort they're all staying in, and it is super awkward to watch. Shanquella is looking for her friends so they can go swimming, presumably, and when she finds them, it seems like she wasn't welcomed in the room.
Before the attack, let's roll this video.
It don't take that long to get naked. It don't take that long to get naked, hoes. Where y'all at? She told me I'm gonna keep it hot. You gonna keep it hot? What?
I'm gonna keep my hot bathing suits that I don't want to wear because it's cute as fuck.
What Go said, they crew.
The one that's like mediocre is in my champions. I can't wear them.
Just from that video, wouldn't you say things were off? They were very plainly plotting or talking about her. It just got really intense when she entered the room. If these friends are out to have a vacation and plan on doing things, why is it that they're tucked away, excluding anyone? It's plainly weird. What has frustrated me about this case is that people have made a mockery of this, saying the woman that attacked her, Dejanay Jackson, is transgender, like that has a lot to do with any of this. It completely averts the motive of what happened to this girl and creates a whole new cycle of confusion. There's a Mexican journalist everyone is talking about on the case named Gerardo Zuniga, who is very questionable. And it's very unclear what he really has to do with this case and what he really knows. It's just sad because there's no directive to any of this, not in part of the staff who are aware of Shanquella's dead body, nor of anyone else involved or the organizations, the FBI, that we're asking for help from. It's like, hello, please see that there are very evidently criminal and violent things happening. Please do something. It shouldn't matter the jurisdiction or laws in place for whatever. When something is wrong, when something is out of place, it is our duty to act. It should be our duty to immediately make things right. But that's not the case here. While that has been disappointing, I was very proud and hopeful to see that money has been raised on behalf of Shanquella's family to fund the investigation and other services into this whole situation. So hopefully this brings more attention to the case and resolves things soon. As far as we know, there have been alleged reports that an arrest has been made, but there is no substantive proof of that. Nazir Wiggins, one of the six, has come out in an attempt to clear his name. He went live, I think on Instagram or something. He went live like a while ago as things started to become more public about the case, and it seems like he knows more than what he's telling. From his account, he mentions how he was trying to assist Shanquella, who was seemingly unconscious when he arrived at the resort. He apparently got to the resort much after the other friends did, and I guess had no clue that there was a fight or anything violent that happened to Shanquella. In his live, although he's not telling everything, he asserts that he had nothing to do with what happened to Shanquella. He's the only one of the Cabo Six who has actually spoken out so far. So this still remains a low-key internet sleuth-like story. Not a lot of public attention or remedying of this case has been done at all, but we are still keeping our eyes on things. As far as we know, all of these six friends, the Cabo Six, are still roaming the streets and no justice has been served. What these stories exemplify is the media and the atmosphere's notion to desensitize us to the violence committed amongst one another. There's no humanity, there's no mercy, there's no clarity in anything anymore. People who do wrong to others can evade responsibility, critique, and their day in court. When you're the quietest, most peaceful person in the room, you ought not to be in the room because everyone else is plotting violence. This is the state of our world. My friends, there are no friends. My friends, there are no real systems in place to protect you, as they can easily be bribed to turn a blind eye. My friends, there is no real refuge in a vacation or an excursion because as you intend to have a good time, there are people around plotting to take your time and your peace right from you for no legitimate reason. My friends, there are no friends. In 2022, we found the trust is so deeply shattered, the truth is so quickly discarded, and that tumult and corruption are on the rise as they have no regard for any type of human life. Even the type of lives that wonderfully, colorfully, and lovingly contribute to the world. There's no room for all that soft stuff anymore. It's really hardcore, hard to imagine, and becoming more and more hard to watch, to hear, and to acknowledge that the preciousness, the goodness of life is truly lost and is being replaced with chaos, intimidation, savagery. I really do pray for this world. It's been about over a month now since these deaths rocked us up, and as we say, life goes on. But how do we proceed now? Wouldn't you say it is important to keep these very troubling facts in mind? I mean, before we just are quick to do anything else. Remember what these stories are telling us and how we should now engage in the world. It's not about attaining material wealth and success because you can have that and it still not be enough. It's not about still being the most peaceful person in the room, no. You can't extend yourself by paying for the whole villa for you and your friends to stay in on vacation to show kindness. No. There's a present ruminating in which we ought to recognize the preciousness, the sanctity, the dignity of our person is to be considered at all times from here on as life goes on. We ought to be real cognizant, self-aware, and well-rounded on the type of person we want to be before we're influenced, desensitized, and brutalized into thinking otherwise and compromising our sense of self just to conform and adhere to the daily attractions and so-called duties of life. Please remember your preciousness and that essence of those around you. Things are very strange out here. thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching this video, and being a part of this part 2. The thumbnail I included in the art asked the question, why is the world wicked? And I was going through some things last night. I made a video, and you know, because I was like halfway through this video, and I was just like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around all of this, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be the morality police, but it's just like, we do have standards in place. We do believe in promoting life and being a part of this thing called life. But when we have these governments and these official bodies of power, why do they not make an effort to show that these lives matter by being quick on it, you know what I'm saying, and not being compromised with money or with any sort of influence to do the wrong thing? I just think there's such a wickedness in this world that I can't explain, and I'm not trying to, like I said, be the morality police, but we do have standards in place. We do have laws. We do have things in which we abide by in our society, and those in charge, those that we entrust, need to abide by those as well. And we as people need to be a little bit more cognizant about whether these powers really do support us, and if we should be quick to bring more life, bring more of our energy, bring more of our trust into this if they are not showing that they're worthy of that. So it's a lot to think about. This video should have been much longer considering that question, why is the world wicked? But we're going to come back to some different things, some different ideas later. But I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks again for watching.